Okay, here we go.
All right. Good evening to all barbers out there. This is Jonathan Tapp with the International LT. Uh, and we're going to start with red onions. And so I invite you to go for a ride.
Caution, please mind the speed limit. Keep right, and then turn right. Turn right. Keep right, and then turn right. Turn right. You have arrived at your destination. Your route guidance is now finished. Let's do this. and then turn right. Turn right. Get ready to turn left. Turn left. Keep right, and then exit right. Exit right.
Say it.
Like,
Yeah.
Ryan is someone who is gay and finds some real community with other gay men, but also, like, is violent at times, is aggressive, is angry.
Yeah.
And so I felt like showing that they're swimming in the same waters and kind of dealing with a lot of the same stuff, even though the experience is a bit different. Like, it's not that different in a lot of ways.
Talk about the ways in which Nate's relationship to masculinity evolved over time.
You know, his father is, in some ways, when he's very young, very tender and loving, but then he leaves his life and has a lot of struggles of his own, deals with drugs and has affairs. And Nate, as he's older and he's kind of realizing, like, I am a man, I'm confident that I'm a man, the people I love see me as a man, but also I haven't had, like, that clear example of exactly kind of the man that I want to be. He finds himself kind of realizing that, like, there have been bits and pieces all around him of men who did show him a way. Like, the way his father was so tender and loving toward him when he was a very small child is something that he can take. The way in which he has this friend in high school who is just a cool guy who all the girls have crushes on and all the boys are jealous of, but who, like, kind of defends Nate and protects him in a moment when he's kind of under threat. And seeing Ohio, and he'd felt so isolated and alone, and spending a weekend with these men who, some of them are just little bit older, just a little bit more confident in themselves, have just found their own way to continue kind of thriving in a world that doesn't always offer them a place in it. That means so much to him.
Let's talk about Ryan some more. We are introduced to him through violence. You recount in detail a night in which he and his friends are leaving a bar, and it becomes very physical and very violent, and Ryan likes it. Set up that scene for our listeners.
So Ryan had been bullied a lot as a kid, and had always just seen himself as kind of passive, as the guy who will kind of wilt in the face of bullies. And then he has this night out. He's a junior in college. He's slowly coming into himself, slowly getting more confident in who he is. And he's drunk. He's surrounded by drunk people. And someone says something. And later he would realize that he probably kind of misheard this person or who they were talking to. But it essentially sounds like someone is questioning his masculinity, is calling him a she. And Ryan, this gay man who's not yet out, finds being called by this feminine pronoun to be a real insult, and he snaps, and he steps toward the guy hits him. Ryan then just unloads. And the thing, this is not revealed until a bit later in the book, but he found himself thinking that night back to the kids who had bullied him when he was a kid, and thinking like, oh, now I understand why they did it. This feels awesome. And I think when he gets a bit further removed from this fight and from a number of others, the idea is, I think violence can sometimes be like the quickest way of claiming power when you feel powerless. It can be the quickest way of grasping towards safety when you feel unsafe. Like if your body is one that can kind of bend other bodies to your will, it's just a way to respond to things that everyone goes through, of feeling afraid, feeling disempowered. And Ryan has major regrets over a lot of what he did, but in the moment he likes the fact that, like, I'm the powerful one now.
Yeah.
I'm the one who's inflicting what I've endured.
Yeah. You wrote that Ryan wants both to love men and to brutalize them. And reading that, I said, oh, that's not just queer men. I feel like a lot of straight men are in the same boat. How did writing about Ryan's story and journey with violence maybe change the way you think about men and violence?
Yeah, you're so right that we do want love. When, like, you have a friendship that can feel tender and can, have, like, some physicality to it, like some loving physicality to it, like, it is something we love. And it's something that I think boys are kind of starved for. And I know that I, like, want to feel kind of, like, physically, kind of tenderly connected to my male friends. I love it when my friends will say I love you, and they will, like, give me the hug without the awkward, like, bro pact that just, like, just bring it all the way in and hold it. And yet there's always that fear of, if we don't feel like we have power, wanting to grasp for it. I can think of nights when I've been out with friends where, like, both of those things are happening, where, like, telling each other vulnerable things, being open with each other, but then, like, someone, as men so often do, like, will say that, like, kind of, like, little, like, twist the knife kind of thing that's, like, meant as a joke but can really injure. And it's
just to remind you, I'm still a man.
Yes, I think that's so present for so many of us.
All right, if you were just now joining me, I'm talking with journalist Jordan Ritter Kahn. We're discussing his latest book, American Men, a book I could not put down. I want to get to some bigger picture themes from the book, but I do want to spend at least a little bit of time on Gideon, because his journey, I think, might be the most surprising to readers. On paper, in picture, he has it all. A gifted athlete from childhood, doors just opened for him. Tall, charming, hot, West Point, gorgeous wife. And by the end of the book, he is deeply seeking a different
is a very difficult kind of place to date because there are relatively few women, and all of the other men there are a lot like you, smart, good-looking, and in good shape, all of those things. And after his wife has an affair, he kind of goes through this period of just realizing that all of that kind of wasn't enough. And it's something that he continues to struggle with for many, many years. He eventually remarries, and it is years into that marriage that he begins to trust that his wife loves him for who he is, loves him for his kindness, for his empathy, for his intelligence, for his curiosity, for the ways in which he cares for people around him, not just as someone who can kind of hit all of these benchmarks that he's always hit his entire life.
Yeah, I love you pointing out that even for this guy who on paper seems to hit all the benchmarks of the best version of manhood, you said over and over again, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Is that really what all of this conversation about our current men's crisis is about? The standards that men think they need to adhere to, even once they get to them, it's not enough.
Yeah. You know, the thing that all four of these guys have in common is at some point feeling inadequate. And I think that's you know, I don't want to paint too broad a brush, but basically we all at some point feel inadequate, and specifically gendered inadequacy, a way in which we do not kind of measure up to something that we've learned that we should be. When I look at conversations in feminism, you know, as an outsider, it feels like there's just such a robust conversation around expectations of gender and kind of how to navigate those and what that has looked like over time. And you men have just much less experience talking about all of that. How do you kind of define your identity, and how do you kind of navigate these expectations that continue to be in the world that you're going to continue to have for yourself? You know, in my own life, I continue to deal with wanting to live up to certain standards and figuring out what it's like when I don't, I think is really important. Listening to those conversations that have already been happening for decades and are continuing right now, I think helps a lot.
Oh yeah. I also find that when I start to think about how people are performing gender or sexuality or identity or race, as soon as you start thinking about and watching folks do it, you realize everyone is performing.
100%.
Everyone is always in performance.
Yeah.
Everyone is doing the version of what they think they should be. And when you realize that, it frees you to hopefully just do what the hell you want.
Yeah. Once you hear it for the first time, you realize, oh yeah, that's what I am doing when I am, sitting next to a stranger at the sports bar talking about this game.
You're performing. Yeah. I'm spinning out of turn here, but I think that a lot of what is also happening in the rise of this quote-unquote men's crisis is the decline of jobs for men that can sustain them and their families for life without a college degree. Those jobs are harder to find now, and there are fewer of them.
Absolutely. Again, the reason why that provider role is so powerful is because it is a very simple, clear way to feel like I am doing something meaningful. We want to feel needed. We want to feel like someone is relying on
Period.
Exactly. It's harder than it sounds.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so important.
What do you think is the biggest thing that our national conversation about the state of the American man gets wrong?
I'll speak just for the way that men tend to talk to each other. There's so much talk of like self-improvement in your career or your relationship to your body or taking care of yourself physically, and so little conversation about like how to be a whole human, how to be someone who is in relationship with people who you really love and who love you in return, who is committed to kind of making the world around you a better place, who is working toward a life that feels, robust and full of kind of love and care and excitement. And I think like we need to take the same way that men can often be good at taking their careers very seriously, working very hard on that, and working on kind of finding a romantic partner like very seriously, working on kind of your own emotional well-being, working on your own platonic relationships, working on your relationships with family members. Like those are like critical pieces of a good life. And I think that conversations among men need to more fully reflect the degree to which all of that stuff really matters to who we are.
Thanks again to my guest, journalist Jordan Ritter Kahn. His book is called American Men. I fully endorse it. Go check it out. And special thanks to Apple News for letting us share that conversation here with you. Apple News in Conversation is a news podcast with deep interviews every week. Their host, Shamita Basu, is amazing. You should check the show out wherever you get podcasts. All right, time for a quick break. But when we come back, two of my favorite pop culture thinkers talk to me about a trend that has taken over our social media feeds. We'll tell you. Stick around.
You live in a universe where an octopus can solve puzzles, stars explode in slow
Please mind
motion.
the speed.
Now you can experience it all. HPM Plus brings you the best of PBS science and nature, ready to stream whenever curiosity sets in. Stream live channels like TV8, Create, Kids, and NHK World. Members can access even more inspiration with PBS Passport. Search HPM Plus on your smart and connected TVs and start exploring.
At Marketplace, we help you understand what's going on in the economy and why. There is no topic too large or too small, whether it's the housing market, jobs, interest rates, even the prices we are paying at the grocery store. Our independent journalism is critical in helping you connect the dots and getting the context that you need. So, join me, Kai Risdal, every weekday on Marketplace.
Marketplace, weekdays at 6:30 p.m. on News 88.7.
Hi, I'm John Donvan, host of Open to Debate, where we bring you open-minded discussions and debates about the issues affecting our lives. Everything from science and tech to politics, culture, and foreign policy. In our divided nation, we feel it's more important than ever for people to be open-minded, open to disagreement, and open to listening to the other side. Join me in being open to debate.
Sunday night at 10 p.m. on News 88.7.
Go straight on.
Hey y'all, Sam Sanders here. Welcome back to my show. This week, my favorite thinkers. Tracy Thomas, host of a very good books podcast called The Stacks. And Christiana Mbakwe Medina, host of the podcast Pop Syllabus, all about pop culture. Both of them are true experts of the zeitgeist, seasoned keepers of the culture. And I brought them on because we are just about halfway through the year. And that means I have already begun my yearly quest to find out what this year has meant for pop culture. Big picture. So I began this chat by asking my guests to fill in the blank. 2026 may turn out to be the year of the fill in the blank. This year's biggest trend, according to my experts, might not be some movie or some hit song or some viral dance. It may just be our bodies. Let's get into it. So I asked you both to fill in the blank. 2026 might be the year of. I was going back through both of your work and I realized your work gave me an answer to this. I think, and I owe this idea to you, I think that 2026 might be the year
money to be able to afford it, the thin body as an ideal was diminishing in status. That was a feeling, and this came from living in Los Angeles and actually traveling to lots of very cosmopolitan, global cities and coming across women who I'd be in a Pilates class with or in a bar class with, and it was their second or third class of the day. Wow. And I was like, where are you getting the time? Where are you getting the money? But it just felt something was happening. And it became clear to me that being skinny was not enough. Because anyone can be skinny.
Yes.
And I just speculated at the time that the new body idea would be something called a sculpt, which was a very lean, toned physique. So it's very toned arms and ripped. It'd be a very tiny waist. It'd have the kind of remnants of waist training culture.
Yeah.
We have a tiny waist, which some women do get through a procedure called rib contouring, effectively.
Take some ribs out?
Where you chisel them down a bit. God. Very popular procedure. And then you will still have like a perky butt.
And perky boobs.
Perky boobs. They're calling them the ballerina boobs, which is a very...
Ballerinas don't have boobs.
Well, the idea is that when...
Sorry to ballerinas.
Sorry to ballerina. Hey, Timothy Chalamet, be careful. Well, they're calling them ballerina boobs because ballerinas, quote, unquote, don't have boobs, but they do have some tissue there, right? Because they're not super ripped, they're just toned. And so it'd be this idea that this woman would have supple breasts, very youthful, which are kind of, but there's a paradoxical nature of being very ripped and muscular, but still having boobs and having like the perky bum. And it's a body that's assembled by a team, but it looks very natural. It looks attainable.
Yes.
And so I was just like, I think this is where we're going, and more I keep seeing it.
I see it. Well, and there are two women that I think fully embody this. One does it really well. One ends up looking like a praying mantis, I'm gonna say it.
Okay.
Lauren Sanchez Bezos.
Yes,
she's sculpting.
She's sculpting.
But I don't get it.
Okay.
Tiana Taylor is sculpting.
Yes.
And it works.
Yeah.
I think it is the pinnacle of the sculpt body.
Yeah.
Because she has what you're talking about. She has an 8-pack.
Yeah.
Toned arms, tiny waist, but a big butt and big boobs.
And what works for her is that it looks natural.
I don't think it looks natural.
Well, it
looks more natural.
Believable.
Yes.
You would believe because you know she's a dancer, you know she's active.
Yes.
It looks like something. It looks attainable
Yeah.
if you work out hard enough.
Yes.
Whereas Lauren Sanchez looks like
made in the lab.
Money was put into this.
Yeah.
And I feel like from following you and knowing your work, part of the sculpt is that it is meant to trick the audience into believing that it's possible for the rest of us.
Exactly.
And so a lot of women who do it, they don't necessarily mention this.
I'm having work done. I have a team.
Even the team. It's just like, oh, Tiana Taylor's athletic, so that's just her natural body.
And people get very offended when I mention Tiana. Like, that's something that gets a lot of pushback because this is a woman known for an incredibly athletic physique.
Yes.
She is an athlete. She is a dancer. You think about her body in the Kanye Fade video, which is a very different body to the body she has now, right?
What?
And the thing about the sculpt is it's very subtle.
That's all right.
It's very subtle. And I think to the untrained eye, I even get like personal trainers in my comments who are men who are just like, I work with women and I can get them there. And I'm like, a woman over 30 years old, especially if she has had children, it's impossible to have that body without, and sometimes when I say assembled by a team, I'm talking about nutritionists, I'm talking about certain diets that are restricting the amount of calories you're having. It's talking about peptides that people don't know are on the
liposuction.
It's subtle liposuction. It's microdosing steroids. It's all of this wellness work as well.
Botox regimen, fillers.
Botox, filler. It's the fact that there are women who I work out with who wear continuous glucose monitors who are not diabetic, right?
Wow.
So they're paying attention to what their food is doing to their blood sugar in a way that the ordinary person can't. And I think the ordinary person aspiring for the sculpt, it's the nurse practitioner on your Instagram feed who wakes up at 4 a.m. to get her 10,000 steps in and packages her lunch and only eats broccoli and some protein, and she's aspiring for this thing, and maybe she has got breast implants or maybe she has got some liposuction, but it takes so much more work for her to get to that too.
Yes. The reason I think that this is the year of the sculpt is because I think the sculpt represents what is happening to all of us across culture, not just through our bodies, in this moment of body modification and the digital gaze, G-A-Z-E. Sculpt culture is just a physical representation of filter culture. Everything we see is a bit augmented, and we're used to it.
Yeah.
We're
We're so used to seeing Snapchat and Instagram filters. We're so used to seeing AI slop. We're so used to seeing altered images in our phones and on our screens. The next logical step is an augmented image of the physical body. And I think that is what this year is becoming for me. The year in which all of pop culture slips into this digitized, uncanny valley.
Yeah, and I think that, to pull from Gia Tolentino's work, she talks about this Instagram face. I think a very critical component about the sculpt is A, it's about the body, but B, it traffics in so much of wellness culture.
Yes.
And the use of biotech, for lack of a better word, because I can't explain, we are pushing the medical frontiers right now in terms of just what people are putting into their bodies every day in a way they didn't 10 years ago.
Well, and an approach to the body that has become clinical.
Yeah, longevity.
My food is not for enjoyment, it is for optimization. I'm taking these pills and these peptides to optimize and be very specific and deliberate about what everything inside of my body is doing.
Biohacking is a huge thing. And I think we had that in the past. I think there was a phase where people were like, I'm going to eat for my blood type. And different diets have come in and out. But the sculpt is really, because I think wellness and this real fear of, I'm a woo-woo girl, and it's like, is it the microplastics? Is it the endocrine disruptors? There is a language culturally right now where people look at the sculpt and like, it's about being healthy.
Which is crazy because as a country, we are more unhealthy than ever.
Can I add, hearing you guys talk about this, I think to your point about why right now the sculpt also might be popping off is because the world feels so unstable and like big things feel so big and scary.
What can I control?
You can control your body. And like even though it's not attainable, it's something you can work toward that feels productive. That you can say it's only broccoli and chicken breast every single day.
And you can look at it and say, I did it.
Yeah, and you can look at pictures and you can say, this is my body and this is the one thing that I can control in some states, and this is what I'm gonna put my time and energy into. And
you're rewarded for it. I think that is the big distinction. Like if we look at the early 2010s when it was, peak Kardashian, ethnic ambiguity, BBL bodies, we had the rise of the body positivity influencer. We had the rise of the fat pop star and the fat model on the runway. And we just had more body diversity. Now there was a class of women who stayed thin. So that's the Gwyneth Paltrow world. But now we are in a moment where being sculpted, and I use the example of my work of Khloe Kardashian. So much of the reemergence.
She's not the person she was 10 years ago.
And so much of the reemergence of her brand has been her having this sculpted muscular physique, right? And so there are real, advantages, especially in this climate where for women it's very fraught, right? It's very fraught. And so you're like, okay, if I can't be thin, or if everyone is thin, let me be sculpted. And it changes how people treat you.
Hey, if you are just now joining me, I'm here with two of my favorite pop culture thinkers, Tracy Thomas, host of the Stacks podcast, and Christiana Mbakwe Medina, host of the podcast Pop Syllabus.
I'm very interested in your perspective on this, Tracy, as a dancer. You are a woman who has lived in your body in a very optimized way for a long time, and I'm guessing that the way of the sculpt is not the way you lived the way of a dancer.
Well, I don't think it was probably healthy what we did as a top fitness. So I've been involved with body things for almost more of my life than I've been involved with books. Like I like on a very personal note, it is sort of triggering for me adjustments.
Yes.
Even though it's not always about their body, their job is to look, I mean, not about how their body looks, like whether they need to lose weight or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're
It's
always
just-
watching.
But that's the job of a dancer.
Yes.
That's why there's all the mirrors. That's why the room looks like that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, I mean, this is not a good time for people who
No.
are concerned about their body.
Yeah.
And it feels like my through line with all of this is that the inspiration now for the sculpt body are images given to us online that aren't real.
Yeah.
And in the same way, I see so much artificialness in all other aspects of culture right now. If I listen to pop songs, new pop songs, a lot of them sound so much like AI, I can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
The entire new Sabrina Carpenter album feels like AI, right? When I am scrolling through TikTok, I'll end up on some video where it takes me 2 or 3 takes to figure out if it's real or
This happens to
not.
me all the time. I'm become such a skeptic of
Exactly.
everything online.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because of the sculpt, because of the filter, because of the AI of it all. I feel like I'm always on edge. Like, am I being tricked?
Is this real?
Is this a
Even
trick?
you go to, like, you go watch these movies, any celebrity who is a big enough star, over 50 on the screen, they're being face-tuned.
It's funny because I think being millennials, we can still stop ourselves and be like,
I'll find a new
we
one.
ask the question, is this real?
Yes.
The concern about the young girls and boys that you're mentioning is that they're just absorbing it as real. And
Yes.
it's bizarre for me going through my algorithm sometimes, and I'm like, the algorithm is feeding me ED content, essentially.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
get ready with me what I eat in a day,
Left.
right?
Yep.
And they don't realize that this is,
Unhealthy.
unhealthy. It's feeding it to people, and I'm like, I wonder what this means for like young girls and boys who don't do this as their job.
Totally.
Because this is my job, so I can kind of distance from it and be like, but then I'm like, why is a 37-year-old woman chronicling every day what she eats?
Well, and also, like, I don't want to get in trouble, but I feel like we're sort of dancing around this other piece of this, which
Same.
is the celebrities who have really unhealthy bodies. I mean,
Oh,
Ariana
yeah.
Grande
A new
just
route.
started her tour, and the images
seen
have
some
come
clips.
out, and like, they're upsetting to me, but we're not allowed to talk about it. I mean, I just preface this with, I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm looking at something that's not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that that's not healthy. What's going on with her, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I
That
can
is
see the
unhealthy.
product
Yes.
of something that is not right.
Yes.
And we're not supposed to talk about it. And so I feel like that also feeds into what kids are seeing, because no one's saying, not
Yes.
great. This is not great.
But I think it's because we are in this moment where, again, thinness or the sculpted look is idealized.
Yes.
They don't think, we think she looks unhealthy. But there's just people that are like, she's just
This
a
is
little skinnier than we'd like her to be, but we like skinny.
Yeah.
And that's the
Right.
other layer to it. like,
Right.
That's the pushback.
Right.
That's how they want women
We
to
like
look.
skinny.
Yeah,
And what
they
I
like
find
skinny.
so scary is how innocuous some of the messaging is about body modification and starvation. I didn't put it together until maybe last week. I kept seeing these young women post these recipes for things that would help you poop. And it was like, mix the chia seeds with the this and mix the that with the that. And finally I was like, is everyone just constipated? No. They want to rid themselves of as much weight as
Well,
possible.
and it's the
with
protein
laxatives.
maxing.
Yeah, it's protein.
Because protein does make you more constipated.
Really?
So you need all this fiber. And so now people have discovered what fiber is.
Yes.
So now they're fiber maxing.
And I was
which is
thinking
a
it was
form
just
of
like cute
bulimia.
getting your Metamucil. And no, it's disordered eating
Yes.
and disordered
Turned right.
body maintenance.
Right.
It's everywhere. Hey y'all, real quick. So the 90s are clearly having a moment right now. I've talked about this on my show. I'm sure you see it in the zeitgeist. The clothes, the music, the pop culture of the 90s is everywhere. But I'm wondering, what is the best that decade has to offer? The absolute best? That is a big question I'll be asking at the Sam Sanders Show live. Ultimate 90s Nostalgia Bracket. Yes, we are doing an Ultimate 90s Nostalgia Bracket live in LA with a live audience. It's going to be a big showdown here in LA at Dynasty Typewriter. It will be full of all the greatest 90s iconography. Think March Madness, but the teams are Britney Spears and Beanie Babies and slap bracelets and Titanic. Anywho, we will rank and relive the glory days of the great, mostly offline decade. Join me for this show. It's going to be fun. We'll have swag to give out. It's going to be live in Los Angeles at Dynasty Typewriter on Sunday, June 28th. Just go to kcrw.com/SamLive for tickets. Hope to see you there.
Support comes from Metro. World Cup planning includes transit improvements intended to serve Houston after the final match. Metro provides bus, rail, and paratransit service and continues mobility enhancements across the region. More at ridemetro.org/Metro Now.
Houston Public Media, in partnership with Texas Southern University, brings to you The Vibe. R&B, hip-hop, and neo-soul. Music that resonates with all ages. The Vibe on 88.7 HD3 and on the Houston Public Media app.
I'm Maria Hinojosa. Next time on Latino USA, we take you to the largest Latino graduation that happens in our country. It's taking place in Fresno, and we're going to meet 3 students who are going to tell us why Latino graduation matters so much, and to their families, whose names also get called out on stage. That's next time on Latino USA.
Sundays at 7 p.m. on News 88.7.
President Trump says his peace deal with Iran is better than President Obama's, but some in his own party disagree. Plus, the White House is party crashing the planning for America's 250th birthday, and a listener is asking us if Americans actually want a strong executive branch. I'm David Green. Hope you'll join Mo Lathy, Sarah Isger, and me for the next Left, Right, Center.
Left, Right, and Center. Sundays at 9 p.m. on News 88.7.
Hey y'all, it's the Sam Sanders Show. Let's get back to my conversation with my dear friends, Tracy Thomas, host of the Stacks podcast, and Christiana Mbakwe Medina, host of the stellar Pop Syllabus podcast. We've been breaking down how pop culture has fared so far in 2026, and why live sports just might save us all. And I'm saying that as a newly minted World Cup fan. Yeah, go soccer. All right, let's get back into it. I want to take this question to the two of you. I was saying how 2026 for me might be the year of the sculpt, the year of modification, the year of everything approaching this digital gaze that is not real. What is 2026 for you, Tracy?
So I've been thinking a lot about how this is like sort of the year of the big name person, the star, the
Say more.
like Zendaya's in 75 movies.
She really is.
Shows.
Yeah. Also, the drama. Still stand by it.
I know
you don't like it.
I'm torn on it. I didn't dislike it. I had a lot of thoughts and feelings.
Yes.
In the book space, every author who you've ever heard of has a book out this year. The big name people are just out and about. Marlon James, drama. Marlon James, Patrick Raddenkeep, Min Jin Lee, Anne Patchett. Like everyone has a book this year. I feel like with the Christopher Nolan movie, it's just like jam-packed with stars.
Yes.
Also in the sports world, there's all these like, it's like the World Cup. We're seeing all these famous, like not the new up-and-comers. Nobody cares. It's all about like the biggest name in each industry.
Yes.
And I've been really fascinated by that because a few years ago it was all about who's new, who's coming
or
up.
even last year, I felt like last year was a year of artists like Olivia Dean.
Yeah.
And this year, the only music story that has really resonated has been Drake dropping those bad albums.
Drake's bad albums, and then Bad Buddies.
Yeah.
Super Bowl that she hated.
I love that.
I don't want to do that because I don't want to fight.
Yeah.
I just want to be together.
But it does feel like pop culture this year is run by the biggest names.
The biggest names.
Even everyone waiting for the next Beyonce album. She's
Yes.
waiting for the biggest album.
Yes, it just feels like
I can't think of one new upstart where I'm like that.
Not this year. No.
What would you say 2026 is the year of for you?
You know, it kind of connects to what you're both saying, but movies
Yeah.
being priced out of a concert.
Concerts.
There is nothing that makes them feel compelled to be involved or spend.
Yes.
And it's because of that absence, that lack of feeling,
This is why
the AI of it all.
Yes. This is why it's been so interesting to watch the energy around the New York Knicks. Because I'm gonna tell you something that I know. New Yorkers have not cared about the Knicks. Y'all care about the Knicks out because they're winning. And when I saw all those men outside the stadium having this block party, it's like, oh, this is a vessel for their collective energy that could not go anywhere else.
So one of the things that I have noticed that I am the most excited about is live things.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just went to New York. I saw a bunch of musicals.
Yeah.
And the two shows that I saw that I thought were just fantastic were Rocky Horror Picture Show and Cats, the Jellicle Ball.
Which I heard Cats was amazing.
It was a great time, but the thing that they do, the show is great. The costume, everything is great about both of those shows. But what they both do that a show like Ragtime that I've also seen cannot do is that they make you feel alive in a theater.
Yeah.
Ragtime feels like you're watching
straight
a
on.
great piece of work behind a screen. Or like you could watch this on TV and it would be exactly the same.
Yeah.
But the thing that sports is giving us, the Knicks are giving us, the Olympics gave us with Ilya
The World Cup's about to
Malinin
give us.
failing.
Yeah.
It's like that's live. That's
Live.
drama. You cannot AI it.
Yes.
You cannot make it anything that it's not. You can AI the set, you can AI the costumes, but at some point, the live human beings, Juliette Lewis singing Time Warp, like it's insane.
And
What's happening?
And I think with sports, it's also about it being live.
Yeah,
like it means
together.
most. No, forget being together. It means most if you watch it at the same time.
Exactly.
You can't binge watch the game.
Yes.
You watch the game or you miss the game.
Exactly.
Right. And I think there's something to that intensity and sense of stakes.
And like intangibility.
You
like
know,
you can't hold on to
live.
it. It's here.
You know, live sports is the thing. I mean, Arsenal winning the Premier League has. I mean, I hate it because I'm a Manchester United fan, but it's been so beautiful seeing the pictures and the videos coming from my hometown.
Maybe the reason that people are so into sports is because
straight
it
on.
has the bodies, the sculpt, the athletes.
Yeah.
They have these great bodies.
Yeah.
It has the sex intrigue. And it also has the big name star.
Yeah.
It has
Got it all.
all the things that we're talking about this year.
And it's
in
gonna
one
have
place.
a show. It's gonna have Bad Bunny too.
It's gonna have
Like,
Bad Bunny. It's gonna have people in the audience. The athletes are the stars. It's live. It's all the things we're craving and wanting. Like all the nostalgia core
There's
from the 90s.
F1 with Lewis Hamilton,
Kim
Kim
Kardashian.
Like there's what I love about sports is the overlap of the world.
We did it. That's the year so far. Tell folks where to find you both.
Oh, you can find me. My podcast is called Stacks. It's about books. You can find me on the internet at the Stacks Pod everywhere.
And my podcast is called Pop Syllabus, and you can find me on Substack under Pop Syllabus, and Instagram Pop Syllabus, and Christiana Amma also on Instagram. It's very, very chaotic. I'm warning you, but you're in for a ride.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
I admire your minds. This little show is a co-production between Sam Sanders Productions and KCRW. We are distributed nationally by PRX. Our showrunner is Tyler Green. Our producers are Bennett Purser and Andrea Bautista. Nick Lamponi mixed this episode. Alicia Benichu composed our theme music. And I, along with Big Boss Arnie Seipel, executive produced this show. If you like what you've heard today, you can find more of my interviews on your favorite podcast app and at kcrw.com/Sam Sanders. Okay, till next time.
PRX.
On the podcast After the Flood from the Texas Newsroom and PBS's Frontline, we meet people who survived last year's floods in the Hill Country and those who lost loved ones, and we try to answer the questions they still have. After the Flood, out on June 24th.
I'm Anita Rao. Embodied is WUNC's weekly radio show and podcast about sex, relationships, and health. Join me to meet people who aren't afraid to question what we think we know about intimacy, who are embracing the unique ways their bodies shape their lived experience, and who have some fascinating stories to share about their relationships. We'll take on the taboo together, next time on Embodied.
Sundays at 8 p.m. on News 88.7.
Your NPR station, News 88.7 KUHF Houston, a service of the University of Houston. Get local and breaking news anytime at houstonpublicmedia.org. Listen to us on your favorite devices. Tell your smart speaker to play News 88.7.
Turn right.
From Futuro Media and PRX, it's Latino USA. I'm Maria Hinojosa. A conversation with New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani about why this moment in politics and in sports is also an important flashpoint for both hope and joy.
As their mayor, I firmly believe that ICE should be abolished, that we should have an answer to the question of immigration with humanity at the heart.
And later we take you into the largest Latino graduation ceremony in the country.
And many of you are the first in your family to earn a college degree. Where are my first generation college students?
All this coming up on Latino USA. Stay with us, no te vayas.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Dan Rowan. The new round of U.S.-Iran talks in Switzerland faltered today, this after President Trump's most recent threat to attack Iran if it does not stop supporting its proxy, Hezbollah. Negotiations are expected to continue through the night. NPR's Chandalise Duster reports.
Negotiations between the U.S. and Iran in Switzerland became tense Sunday after President Trump threatened to attack the country if it doesn't stop Hezbollah from, quote, causing trouble. Trump said in a social media post the U.S. would, quote, hit Iran very hard if it doesn't stop Hezbollah's actions in Lebanon. Iran's lead negotiator responded, writing on social media for the U.S. to be careful and that its armed forces are prepared to respond in a different manner. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said during a summit on Sunday that it won't make peace with Lebanon until Hezbollah is dismantled.
We established a security zone in Lebanon, and we shall keep it as long as it's necessary.
The United Nations interim force in Lebanon said on Sunday that for the first time since the war between Israel and Hezbollah, it has recorded no attacks from either side. Chandalise Duster, NPR News.
President Trump is getting low marks from the American people. His approval rating stands at 36%, according to the latest NPR PBS News Marist poll. NPR's Elena Moore reports.
36-year-old Georgia voter Regina Kalinga backed President Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024. But in 2026, he's lost her support, saying Trump hasn't made good on his promises to lower costs. So she feels let down.
Where is the relief for America? No. You know, you're looking like, hey, president we vote for?
Kalinga isn't alone. According to the latest NPR PBS News Marist poll, 6 in 10 Americans disapprove of Trump's handling of the economy, including 22% of Republicans. Among independents, it's 65%, and Democrats, 93%. Elena Moore, NPR News.
Summer job postings have surged this year, according to the job site ZipRecruiter. But as NPR's Andrea Hsu reports, that doesn't necessarily mean more jobs for teens or college grads.
Summer job hiring reached a peak in mid-May, according to ZipRecruiter. Postings were up a whopping 82% from a year ago. And wages are up too, having grown 4.3% from the same time last year. Summer jobs now pay an average of nearly $22 an hour, with far higher wages on the coasts than in the middle of the country. At the same time, unemployment among teens and recent college grads remains elevated. ZipRecruiter says that's an indication that there's a lot of competition for seasonal jobs from more experienced workers who want temporary or part-time roles. Andrea Hsu, NPR News.
It's NPR. American Wyndham Clark is the U.S. Open golf champion for 2026. It's the second career major for Clark, who won the 2023 U.S. Open in Los Angeles. Clark shot 4 under par and was 1 stroke ahead of Sam Burns, who shot 3 under par. The U.S. Open is traditionally the toughest challenge of the 4 majors, and Clark's score is an indication of the difficulty on the links course at Shinnecock Hills Golf Club on New York's Long Island. Woody, Buzz Lightyear, and his pals are giving Hollywood a happy Father's Day weekend in years. NPR's Bob Mondello reports.
For the last few weeks, Hollywood's been startled to see films by YouTube creators topping the box office charts. But with $160 million in ticket sales, Toy Story 5 has easily claimed the biggest opening weekend of 2026. And if estimates hold for the rest of the top 10, we're gonna need backup. Pixar's Toys will have led Hollywood to this year's biggest 3-day weekend overall.
way.
In fact, this year's total revenues are just shy of 2019's at this point. That's the year Avengers Endgame rewrote the record books, and the year before the pandemic. That has some in Hollywood sensing a return to form this summer, with Minions, Spider-Man, and Christopher Nolan's Odyssey still to come. Bob Mondello, NPR News.
3 people died Saturday night when a general aviation plane crashed into a wooded area in Bowie, Maryland, between Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. The plane had taken off and was returning to Maryland when it went down. The plane narrowly missed several townhomes when it crashed. The NTSB is investigating. This is NPR.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Schwab, offering investors choices from self-directed investing to full-service wealth management, all in one place. Committed to helping investors in any life stage with their investing goals. More at schwab.com.
Here we are, safe and sound.
On Fresh Air, you'll hear revelations from well-known actors, like Zach Galifianakis on the story behind his last name.
It's actually shortened, Terry. My real last name is Galifianakisberg. That's an exclusive for your show.
Fresh Air, bringing you some of the biggest names in American culture and some of the most difficult to pronounce. Join us.
Fresh Air, weekdays at 8 p.m. on News 88.7.
Welcome to Latino USA. I'm Maria Hinojosa. It is Saturday, June 13th, 2026, and New York City is an explosion of energy. People are chanting, hugging, and screaming through the streets of the city. It started during the day with